Hello there everyone and welcome back to the channel. It's-A-Mii here. Today I thought we would do something a little different and talk about all of the games I played during the month of October. I thought if you guys want to see this kind of thing, maybe we could make it a monthly thing where I just kind of talk about my experience playing games in October, because a lot of these games are things I won't really be making actual videos on. Some of them will be, certainly, as we'll get to with one of the games in this video, maybe two. But some of them, like Call of Duty, I'm never going to make a video on Call of Duty. I'm not going to make a video on Dragon Ball Sparking Zero at this point. I'm definitely not making a video on the new Sword Art Online game, so I thought once a month we could do like a little recap of the games I played this month. And of course, as always, I would like to hear what you guys are playing down in the comments below. I want to get the community involved here. Let me know what you have played this month on your game consoles or on your PC, wherever you like to play, and let's get into it. Alrighty folks, so throughout the month of October, I tampered with 9 games. I have only finished, what, 2 though, I think? It's been a rough month for me in terms of finishing games, but I've played enough of these games to actually give some opinions on them. And we'll start off with one of the games I have actually rolled credits on. I did play, I think, 25 hours of this game to finish the story and grind out the online mode quite a bit, and that is Sword Art Online Fractured Daydream. I have the physical Switch copy here. This is one that I was not really planning on playing. Like, when this game was announced, I didn't even know it was announced. I just kind of saw it go for pre-order, and I've always been very intrigued by the Sword Art Online games. As someone who does not really like the anime that much or anything, like, I've seen the first season, I watched a little bit of season 2, and I dropped it because it just wasn't, keeping my interest. I will say the games have always looked like something that were right up my alley, and then I found out that Dimps, the developers of Xenoverse 2, actually made Fractured Daydream as well as Fatal Bullet. They don't do all of them, but they did Fractured Daydream, and I love Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. I love that game so much. I love the entire loop of online co-op, PvE, anime games. I love this stuff, man. So even though I'm not a huge Sword Art Online fan, I decided to pick this up and try it out, and I actually played it quite a bit. This game isn't, like, incredible or anything. It's very basic. So basically, you have this 20-player online structure, and there's different types of missions. Some of them you run through maps and complete objectives, just kind of wiping out very basic enemy types. My favorite is definitely the the raids, the big boss fights. So you have these huge boss raids where there's 5 teams of 4 fighting together to take down this boss. They have like incentives for if you do like the highest combo during this health bar, your team will get more points, and it's kind of a race to see if you can be like the MVP team, basically. I actually really like this. I like this game a lot. It's not the highest quality game or anything. It definitely has like the anime game jank you expect from a lot of anime games, but for what it is, I like this. There were some issues. I think they might have fixed, there was a bit of a hacking issue very early on. I actually was playing this during the like the 3-day early access period on PS5. This game's pretty fun, though. I'm not sure how, like, active it'll stay. I hope that this game gets the support it needs to live on throughout more than just a few months. I'm not sure if the community is really there for it. Like I said, I haven't played any of the other SAO games, so I'm not sure how long the servers for these really stay active. But for what it is, the gameplay loop of grinding out these missions, even if it is the same mission over and over, getting better equipment for your characters. You have this whole, like, hero system where you have all these different characters, but they have different, like, weapons and weapon types and all that, so as someone who hasn't watched that much of SAO, I guess there's like a season where they go into like a gun, like an FPS game or something. My favorite character playing this was a character I think named Lynn, who has like these SMGs. She has like a P90. It's a pink P90, and so you have like these characters using guns and like snipers and stuff. But then you also have fantasy-based characters using swords, and some of the characters can fly and stuff, and then other characters have magic. So you have like this very diverse cast of characters and different gameplay styles, which is really cool. And then yeah, the gameplay loop is just fighting these same bosses over and over, doing these same missions over and over, and ranking up, which probably will not be for everybody. And it's one of those things where I like mindless games a lot of the time. Like, I love a game that I can just kind of tune out, maybe listen to a podcast or listen to music or even watch TV while I'm playing. Sword Art Online Fractured Daydream is absolutely one of those where once you do something enough, you just kind of like, it becomes second nature. So for me, this was a game I was playing a lot while listening to podcasts and kind of just, multitasking that way. But for what it is, I enjoyed it. I'm not sure if it's worth a full $60 price tag for sure, but if you can get it on sale, if you're a big fan of SAO, pretty cool. The story mode in this, it's fine. I think it's like a multiversal endgame kind of thing where you have all these characters. It's like a what-if scenario. I don't know. It's fine. I think the story mode, definitely not the appeal here. If you're buying this game, you're buying it to play online and play with friends, but I guess it's good there is a story mode. Final thing I will say on this, too, if the servers do die quickly, at least the lobbies fill with bots, so assuming that the servers die, and I do assume they will, probably sooner than later, realistically, The bots will kind of help fill it in, and I guess I'm not sure if they would need to keep the servers up to even load in the bots, but at the very least, there will be a way to play this game even when it is dead, years down the line, unless they shut it down completely, at which point I'm not sure if it would still load bots in. But either way, I enjoyed it for what it was. It's not the highest quality game or anything, but I had fun with it for what it was, and I'm happy I finally played an SAO game. I'm not sure if I'll ever go back to play another one, but I'm glad I finally checked that off my list. I've always wanted to play one of these SAO games, so happy to have finally done that. Next up, let's talk a little bit about Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. I actually bought this one digitally. Kind of regret doing that, but I wanted the 3-day early access, and the Ultimate Edition for this game was sold out at Best Buy, which is where I buy games. So I guess this game blew up. This took over the internet for the week and a half or so that it was really, blowing up. I mean, I think it sold 3 million copies already, which is insane for a fighting game, an anime fighting game. This game is really good. I personally would already, just right off the bat, I would say, I prefer something like Xenoverse 2, just because I like the PvE content in that game. But if you want a Dragon Ball PvP game that gives you the feeling of just mashing Dragon Ball action figures together, this is the ultimate version of that. It is the best Tenkaichi game. It is the best 3D arena fighter Dragon Ball game. I like the PvE stuff of Xenoverse, but I know I probably am in the minority there. If you just want to see all of your favorite characters fighting and have these insane matchups, have the, the custom battle editor, just playing online has been a lot of fun in this game. I actually haven't played too much of the story mode. I finished Goku's story, but other than that, I haven't done any of the other characters. I've just been really grinding the ranked mode in this, and that's been a lot of fun for me as someone who in the past, I don't play Xenoverse PvP, I don't play Naruto Storm PvP or really any of that stuff, but for Sparking Zero, climbing the ranked ladder has been a lot of fun because day one, people didn't really know what they were doing, and I just became a Chiaotzu god. I was just repping Chiaotzu, and there was one specific match where I basically was picking a team of the weakest, smallest, shortest baby characters. So Chiaotzu, I think I might have had Goten in there, Yajirobe, as well as a couple others. And then just seeing, on day one, I pick these stupid characters, and then everybody else is picking, Broly and Gogeta, it's just the craziest characters. I was doing a lot of Dr. Wheelo on day one, which is awesome, and actually winning, because people were just, I think they were just taken aback by how stupid it was that I was using these characters in online on day one. But yeah, everybody's, using these cool characters, and I'm using the stupid characters, and actually getting wins, which has been just a ton of fun. I think this game visually looks beautiful. Mechanically, it is very sound. As someone who's not into competitive PvP stuff or 3D arena fighters like that, I think mechanically this game feels very, very strong. It's simple enough, the combos aren't complex or anything, right? You can pretty much just pick it up and learn how to play pretty quickly. And yeah, I've had a lot of fun with that. I need to play more of the story mode so I can actually say I've beaten it. But yeah, I mean, this is the ultimate Dragon Ball game from a roster perspective, which I think is so important to a lot of people. Whether or not you prefer the PvE or the PvP, it is impossible to deny that the character roster in this game is absolutely crazy. Up until release, we were worried oh, are they even going to have movie characters? Are they going to have GT? But they have all that stuff there, and on top of having a ton of super characters, you have the furry. I always forget his name from Dragon Ball Super. You have the Ribrienne trio from the Tournament of Power. You have all these super characters that we've never seen playable in a game before. Bergamo, that's the wolf's name. You have all these characters from Super that we've never seen playable before. We have a lot of story content actually represented from Super in a game that we haven't seen before, because we have some of that stuff in Xenoverse 2, but it's a lot of what ifs. This is our first time seeing the Tournament of Power arc actually played out in a video game, and I think that's pretty cool. So yeah, Sparking Zero has been a lot of fun. I honestly have not played it too much in the past 2 weeks, so this is one I will probably go back to over the holidays, maybe when they start dropping some of that DLC. I think they announced a character from Dayam. I can't remember his name. I actually have not watched Dayam yet. I'm going to see that in theaters in about a week or two, as well as, we know we're getting Gamma 1 and 2, I think, with the superhero pack. So the DLC for that game is going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, this is a game I'll be playing off and on over the next 3 years as they keep supporting it. So I'm not too bummed out that I didn't play too much this month, but I'll be playing that consistently over the next couple of years. All right, next up, let's talk a little bit about Ys-A-Mii here. So I have not played the full game of this yet. However, I have played the entirety of the demo, which is 7 hours, and your demo progress carries over. So this is one I'm actually waiting until I finish the next game we're going to talk about. I'm waiting until I finish that before I go back to this. But apparently the demo for this game is 1/3 of the experience, apparently, or maybe 1/4. So I'm already pretty decently into this game, and I like it. I don't love it. I'm not like in love with Ys from what I've played. This is my first time really diving deep into an Ys game. I played a couple hours of Ys 8 back in I think September, and it's definitely just, you can tell like, okay, it's more Ys. Just this pretty basic 3D action game. You have these pretty basic dungeons you go through. There's some cool movement options in this game. It feels very fluid to play, though. It feels good to play. And that's my takeaway immediately. While the combat and all that isn't like the most in-depth, I mean, there's some cool stuff you can do where you have your main character Adel as well as Karja, the like Viking warrior lady here. You have them like linked up, so you can do some cool combo attacks with that, but also each character, you can switch to them. Karja, of course, uses an axe, and then Adel uses a sword. So you have some decent like gameplay options, but overall, I would still say it's pretty basic. But the movement and just the way this game feels, switching between characters, doing special attacks, it just feels very good. And I guess that's kind of the trademark of the Ys series, from what I understand, my kind of limited knowledge on it. But yeah, enjoying this one. The story's pretty basic, but it's really just that movement. You have this this really cool like grapple hook, so you can grapple yourself to enemies. You can also use it, of course, in the overworld to kind of move around. Eventually, you get like a surfboard, so you can go across water. The movement in this game is really cool. The story is like fine. It's not like making me, sob or anything like a Xenoblade is. Maybe once you get towards the end of the game, once I'm more attached to Adel and Karja, I'll feel a little bit more of a connection there, and that'll make the stakes feel a lot more serious. But the story is like fine. It's full with a lot of anime tropes, though. Like, this is very much an anime kind of tropey game. That's what I'm getting from it so far. Not necessarily a bad thing. If you don't like that, that's obviously, in the eye of the beholder. I'm fine with it, though. It's just nothing, too special. Overall, as my first experience really trying to dive deep into an Ys game and finish it for the first time, this game's good. I enjoyed this game. I enjoyed it enough to go back and play the rest of the series. They just announced that the Oath NFL Ghana, I believe it's called, the PSP game, is coming to Switch in January, so I'll be checking out that as well. That's, of course, an older game, so it looks a little different, not fully 3D. But I'm enjoying Ys 10 for what it is. I'm enjoying it enough to want to go back and check out the rest of the series. And yeah, I'm excited to get back to Ys 10 with the full version of the game and roll credits on it. Like I said, apparently the demo is like 1/3 or 1/4 of the entire game, so I've already made pretty decent progress on that front. I like that these games aren't too long seemingly, and they're just kind of like almost like Sword Art Online, just very casual to play. It's not like it's not stressful to sit down and think, oh, I'm gonna play Ys 10. It's like, okay, I'm gonna go play Ys 10 right now. It's pretty easy, nothing too serious. But the reason I have put Ys 10 on hold is because of this game right here, Metaphor ReFantazio. I have about, I think, 35 hours in Metaphor right now. Funnily enough, Metaphor I've also put on hold for the next game we're going to talk about, but Metaphor is incredible. I cannot wait to get back to this game. Like I said, like 35 hours or so played. I am on the Verja Islands, I believe, so I think that's maybe about halfway from what I've heard. This game is fantastic. I wasn't sure if I was going to try to even make time for it because it is such a long, turn-based RPG. These things take a long time to get through, and I've actually never finished a Persona game. I have finished SMT 4, Shin Megami Tensei 4, but I've actually never finished a Persona game, and a Metaphor, when they announced it, I was very excited for, but it was just one of those things where it's like, I don't know, I feel like a fraud almost. I'm not like in the weeds with Persona, or even really SMT. I haven't finished SMT 5 yet, so I wasn't sure if I was going to pick up Metaphor, but I decided after seeing all the reviews come out and all the, people geeking out on Twitter, I was like, you know what? I'm going to get Metaphor. It'll keep me busy until Call of Duty, which we'll talk about next. And that's exactly what it has done so far. I cannot wait to get back to it, though. The story in this game is so captivating and so different from most RPGs that I've played. The characters are fantastic. I love Hulkenberg. I love Stroll. And of course, the main character who I named Will, I guess that's like his canon name, as well as characters like Its-A-Mii and Juna. So there's just a ton of great characters in this game. Of course, Luis, the main villain, is awesome. what an awesome villain. He really is. Once you get into the game and start, learning more about him, just the way he talks, he's such a cool villain. The human designs, or like the monster designs in this game, are so good. The music is absolutely incredible. If this game does not win Best Soundtrack at the Game Awards, something ain't right, man. This game's soundtrack is next level. Seriously, I love the soundtrack, and the combat is a lot of fun. The combat in this game is so much fun, and it's really fast paced and snappy, right? Like, that's kind of an issue I have with a lot of JRPGs, where just going into combat and then doing it and then getting out of it, like, it just takes a long time. Sometimes it feels like a slog to just run around and kill enemies, but that's not the case in this game. So the way it works is you have like actual active combat when you're running around in dungeons and stuff, and if you're high enough level, you can just kill them by swinging your sword. It turns into a little action game then. or you can kind of do a squad strike and enter an actual encounter with them if they're higher level than you, or if you're not too over leveled, you have to actually take them down, turn-based wise. And the game has a lot of, in-depth options there. You have like the front row and the back row, depending on what archetype your characters are using, which are basically just jobs. You want to kind of position them accordingly in the front or the back. You have all these like link-up moves. It's really good. Like, this is a very, very high quality, very high bar JRPG. And I said it in my pickups video a couple days ago. I would be surprised if this doesn't end up being my game of the year once I finish it. Of course, we'll have to wait and see. Maybe once I get towards the end of the game, I don't like some story decision or something, but I'd be hard pressed to imagine that this game isn't going to be my game of the year, except for maybe Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I still haven't played that, but yeah, Metaphor has been an absolute treat so far, and I cannot wait to get back to it. However, I did unfortunately have to put it on hold because of these next two things. The first of which being Call of Duty. I know, that feels gross. I feel gross saying, yeah, I put Metaphor on hold because of Call of Duty, but unfortunately it is true. I, at my core, at my JRPG loving core, at my Nintendo loving core, am also a Call of Duty sicko, and every year I play Call of Duty with friends. It's just tradition at this point. I grind out the camos week one. It's just what I do. So for the past week or so, I've been juggling two games, the first of which being Call of Duty. We'll talk about the next one in just a second. And Black Ops 6 is really good. Like, it's probably the best Call of Duty we've had since Cold War, which I really love Cold War. That was the last Treyarch / Raven developed game. I've not played the campaign of Black Ops 6 yet, but I have put, let's see, it's the 30th. It came out on the 24th, I believe. I think I have 30 hours played already. This is already my most played game this month, or second most after Metaphor. By the time that this video goes up, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 will likely be my most played game of the month. The multiplayer and the new movement, the Omni movement, being able to sprint left, right, and backwards and dive any which way, it just feels so good. Like, I can't believe we've never had an FPS really do this. I mean, Max Payne 3, I guess, kind of does it, right? It has, like, the sideway diving and stuff. But the movement and just the way this game feels is so good. If you don't play FPS games, it's easy to see, like, okay, Call of Duty, same thing every year. And in a lot of ways, that is true. But it feels like every time Treyarch comes out with a new Call of Duty game, they actually try to change things up, and they did that once again this year with this new Omni movement. The multiplayer maps are fine. I've been playing a lot of the face-off mode, which is these smaller maps, because I'm doing the camo challenges. Basically, every gun has these camos that you have to do, and you have to do certain challenges to unlock said camos. That's usually what I do when I play Call of Duty. I kind of just like having that little objective as I play, so it gives me an excuse to try out every single gun, right, and actually kind of master them, if that makes sense. They have these new, like, mastery badges as well that show on your profile, so you can see, like, how, okay, I got, 1,000 kills with the XM4 or something, and that'll be, like, on the winner circle if you're in the top 3 players on your team. So you can kind of flex some things that way. Zombies is a lot of fun this year. I have not tried Terminus yet. That is the bigger map where you have, like, a boat and stuff. I have played a lot of Liberty Falls, though. Doing the Easter egg on that was a lot of fun. And yeah, Liberty Falls is really good. When they announced it, I was like, this looks like a little basic, but you know what? I think Call of Duty can have some basic zombie maps. It is a pretty just chill, relaxing map. It is a calming map to play. It's very small, I would say, overall, but it reminds me of, like, the Giant from Black Ops 3 or Doris. It reminds me of D-Machine from Cold War. So yeah, loving zombies, loving multiplayer. And then yeah, that campaign apparently is really freaking good. I just haven't not had time to play it. So maybe next month, after, I get through Metaphor and East 10, I'll probably play the campaign, and I'll talk about that, and hopefully the next month's video, maybe December, if I don't get to it until then. Usually, I play Call of Duty campaigns first, because usually, for a couple years there, they were releasing them early. Like, you would get access to the campaign a week early if you bought it digitally, which I always do for Call of Duty, because it is so big, and it is something I play so consistently throughout the year. I don't really want to be bothering with the disc. But yeah, no, they did not release the campaign a week early this year, which I hope they go back to doing, because it's so nice being able to do the campaign, talk about the campaign with everybody, and then on launch day of the actual game, you get into multiplayer and zombies, which is what I'm mostly focused on. Although, yeah, I mean, Treyarch campaigns and Raven campaigns are always the best, in my opinion, and Raven absolutely cooked with the Cold War campaign, so I'm excited to check out the Black Ops 6 campaign, which I've heard is as good, if not even maybe a little better than Cold War. So, yeah, loving Black Ops 6. It is a time sink, though. I have like, this internal debate with myself of, like, I love this game so much. I love playing Call of Duty every year. I need to stop, though. It's one of those things I just need to stop myself and pull myself away from it. Like I said, I have like 30 hours played in the span of less than a week. That is the time it would have taken me to finish East 10 or probably finish Metaphor. But no, I spent it grinding camos in Call of Duty. But it's also one of those things where it's like, this is a social game for me where I play it with friends. I talk to friends while playing it. So it's kind of just a way to hang out with my buds. So it's like, you know, can't feel too bad about it. But at the same time, man, I could be playing a lot more games if I didn't play Call of Duty. But yeah, really enjoying Black Ops 6. And then before we talk about the final thing here, which is a game that's hasn't even released yet, I do want to give some honorable mentions to a couple things I messed around with this month. First up, being the Switch Online playtest. I did a full video of that over on the main channel at Botox Games. Check out that for like really in-depth thoughts on Nintendo's new mysterious MMO Minecraft Roblox game where you make 3D models, and it's a really weird game. But I wanted to shout out that I played like 5, maybe 8 hours of that, somewhere in that range. So go check out that video. But yeah, it's a really weird playtest. I'm really curious to see what they're actually doing with that. Just today, actually, I downloaded and tried out a little bit of Pokemon TCG Pockets. I don't play the Pokemon TCG, however, I do collect the cards off and on. I haven't in a couple years, but back during like 2020, 2021, during the peak of Pokemon card hype, I was all in on that. Of course, growing up, I collected Pokemon cards, and yeah, the TCG app, I'm not sure how long I'll stick with it, but you get 2 free packs a day, so even just opening it up and checking out what's going on and opening a pack, like, I mean, it's free packs, man. So I'm not sure how long I'll play with that, but for a while, I imagine I'll be cracking the daily pack at the very least. I'm not sure if I'll actually like play the online versus mode, but just opening the packs and seeing the card art is kind of like a fun daily thing to do. And then also honorable mention to Monster Hunter Wilds. I played like an hour of the beta. That's not very much. I decided actually after downloading it and playing that hour, like, you know what? I'm just going to wait. This game comes out in like 2 months. It's going to be a huge game for me there as well. I'm going to probably put 100 hours into it. I don't really need to play the beta. I don't think the beta progress carries over. It's going to be a huge game I put a ton of time into anyway. There's so much else going on. I will wait. But from what I was playing of it, very good. It feels very smooth. People were saying it runs poorly on PS5. I really didn't experience that. Maybe it's certain areas. I don't know. I didn't really notice that much of an issue, though, playing Monster Hunter Wilds on PS5. So, yeah, very excited for that. But the final game that I've put a substantial amount of time into in October is a game that I can't really talk about too much. But I did get this in the mail. Got this a little early, about 20 hours into my Mario and Luigi Brothership adventure. And while I don't want to go too in-depth on my thoughts here, because I will do a full review around the time this game releases when the embargo lifts, this game's really good. I think if you are a fan of Mario RPGs, this is, I mean, I'm sure it's already on your radar. It's better than I thought it would be. As someone who, like, casually enjoys Mario RPGs, right? Like, I like Mario and Luigi. I like Paper Mario. I love Super Mario RPG Remake that came out last year. I was excited for Brothership, but I was not expecting Brothership to be my favorite Nintendo game of the year. And it's looking very likely that will be the case. It is very unlikely that I get to the end of Brothership and I don't say it's the best game Nintendo released this year. Granted, I don't think 2024 has been the highest quality year of Nintendo releases overall. Right now, my game of the year is Famicom Defensive Club, Its-A-Mii the Smiling Man. Maybe that game sticks with me a little bit longer. Maybe come, the end of December when I do my rankings, Its-A-Mii ends up outranking Brothership. But right now, it's definitely between those two. Echoes of Wisdom not even in the conversation. It's between Its-A-Mii and Brothership. So just some very brief thoughts on it, but Brothership is very, very good. I'm about halfway through the game. Seems like it's about 35 hours, I would say, long. So it's really good. Wait for my full video on that. But that is going to do it for today's video. That is going to do it for the video where I talk about all the games I play in October. Of course, as I said at the top, I would love to hear what you guys have been playing in October. There's still a lot of other new releases I would like to play. Silent Hill 2, I would love to get to. Sonic Shadow Generations, I've heard nothing but good things about, which is crazy because Sonic games aren't good. So that's... I don't know. I mean, I'll have to see it for myself. I do actually like Sonic Generations. I'm being an asshole. I do like Sonic Generations, and I'm sure the Shadow stuff is pretty good. So that's what I want to get to. Of course, I need to finish Ys and Metaphor next month, and Brothership, and play the Call of Duty campaign. And then in November, we also have Dragon Quest III HD 2D releasing, as well as LEGO Horizons and the Marvel vs. Capcom collection. So I'm hoping in November, after I finish Metaphor, Ys, and Brothership, I get to Dragon Quest. I would like to play Romancing Saga 2 that also released in October. I'm not sure if I'll make time for that. And then December doesn't really have much. It has like Fantasian for me. So December, I'm hoping will be the month of like truly catching up on things I missed earlier this year, like Rebirth. Basically, I'm hoping I can get to Rebirth before the end of the year, assuming I can finish all these other random games I started in October. Hopefully I can finish them in November. But that is going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Of course, subscribe here for more Nintendo collecting content, as well as reviews, discussions, that kind of thing. Follow me on Twitter at Botox Games. Check out my Nintendo news channel at Botox Games as well. And until next time, folks, peace.